Manager, and Mr. Yohance Serrant, entertainer and community activist who is joining us all the way from my home, Southern California. We'll be discussing communication, crossover theory as it pertains to stress, that article that came out that said black men are the white people of black people. I know y'all were really riled up over that. And strategies for bringing black men and women together. So as always, we've got some trending topics to discuss, research to dish, and of course, my weekly balance challenge. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back on the Live Exchange.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful posts online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, Beyond Differences and I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Keep a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures. A stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on the vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Sensation Station Network. It's my Mac Daddy vibe I'm giving you in all of its splendor. What's up?
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and today we are looking at the dynamics between black men and black women. And I have two really awesome guests here with me today who have a lot to say about this topic, and one of which is Mr. Robert Pierce. And I'm going to go ahead and let him, both of them, but I'm going to let's start with Robert Pierce and let him tell you what it is that he does.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, let me say thank you for having me on the show, Dr. Pam.
No problem.
It's a pleasure. I watch every week.
He's loyal.
Faithful viewer.
I love it.
And
Yes.
I finally made it. I was supposed to be here before, but the night before I ate some bad hot wings and got food poisoning. But I'm happy to be here, so thank you for having me. What do? I'm an author. I authored a book some years ago, Navigating Through This Thing Called Life. A book I wrote, just about life, navigating how to get through life purpose. I am an entertainment manager. I manage artists. I'm not going to say their names. You would know their names, but just for time's sake, and we don't want to distract.
I'll be one of them in the future.
Yeah, I manage artists, singers, rappers. We do it all. I own my own nonprofit,
Yes.
Tickle Past Pink,
Yes.
supporting breast cancer. I do a lot, so we'll stop there.
It's all over the place.
I can go on for days.
I love it. All right, thanks for joining us.
Thanks you for having me.
Now, Robert Pierce has been a huge supporter of Women, Wine, and Wisdom, which is a relationship discussion event that we've, it started in 2013, and so he has been a great contributor to the event, even being on the panel.
Yeah, I was on the panel a few times.
Yeah, and so he's had some really great things to say and great contributions to the conversation about relationships. So I had to get him here for today's show on this topic. Our second guest is Mr. Yohance Serrant. He's on the phone. How are you doing, Yohance?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. It's so good to hear your voice.
Yeah, a long time.
I know it's been a long time. I was in California. I was born and raised in California. So I got to know Yohance from the Claremont colleges in California, in Southern California. And I invited him to the show because he did a very simple yet compelling post that I thought, wow, we have to talk about this a little bit more. So I will tell you all about the post in a little bit, but I first want to give Yohance the opportunity to introduce himself.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Yohance Serrant, also known as Merc80, MERC80. Like Pamela said, met at the Claremont colleges. I went to Pomona College and majored in English, minored in Black Studies. Then went to UCLA for grad school in urban planning. Throughout that time, pretty much all my life, I've considered myself an artist, especially with music, doing different kind of musical forms and things like that, and which led me into DJing. So that's kind of one facet of what I do for the past few years. Well, actually for a long time. Even when I started college, I started tutoring and teaching. So I've been an educator for, pretty much every kind of grade you can think of. Last year, I quit my teaching job and just went full-fledged into doing artistry. So I'm doing DJing. I helped a friend of mine do a art exhibit called Misrepresented, and I'll spell that out for you guys later to, check out online. But essentially, it was dealing with women of color, intersectional feminism, celebrating girls of color who skate and skateboard, and looking at a lot of popular culture and the objectification of women and the leaving out of women of color through, various, various things that are considered cool, but then, also saying, okay, well, these women are human beings. These are our homegirls. These are our sisters. These are the people who show up to the skate park, and while, I saw, one of the girls that we were shooting, she's like 12 years old, and we were skating, and then her friend showed up, a boy who was probably at least like 16, 17, and then underneath his board is, a girl pretty much topless, holding her breasts. And so really you got to start thinking, you do need to just at least acknowledge or start thinking about what kind of messages in media we're sending and what we're saying, whether it's subtly or overtly, about how we treat each other and how we treat other people. So that's basically it.
Well, and so you all can see why I had to have him on this show to provide that perspective. I think that is pretty great. That's beyond what I realized you were doing. So I would love to know more, about this movement as we go along. So, but before we continue on with this topic, we're going to go ahead and go into trending topics.
Primary election. Lack of diversity. Gas prices.
Michael Jackson. Trending topics.
Okay, so this week's trending topics is brought to you by Heavenly Helpers Assistance. If you need assistance for yourself or for your loved ones, Heavenly Helpers Assistance is there to help. Reach out. They offer uncompromising excellence, commitment to care. Go to their website. It's www.heavenlyhelpersassistance.com. So check them out. We have got a lot going on in the news. I've heard a lot of people talk about how frustrating or how daunting daunting all of the headlines have been lately between, of course, we've got, basically a lot of weather situations that are going on. We've had, the shooting that happened last week. But this week, Hurricane Nate hit the northern Gulf of Mexico. And this was this past weekend before going inland and causing tornadoes in the Carolinas. And so it's the fourth hurricane to landfall in the U.S. In a frenetic 45-day stretch of the 2017 Atlantic hurricane season.
Wow.
It's a lot. Let me see. Let me see if there's anything about that. The wildfires. I have to jump to that.
The wildfires in California.
Whew, yes.
Yeah.
So one thing about being in California, as Yohance probably knows, is that we have a fire season. We know a certain time of year there's going to be fires. Everything is dry. Everything is, prone to severe fires. But this is pretty intense. This is probably bigger than what we've seen. Is this bigger than what you've seen, Yohance?
I've never seen anything like it. I remember the worst that there was sometime around the 90s. But I saw a graphic yesterday talking about the wildfires from kind of a satellite perspective, and it looked real bad.
Yeah.
Like real bad.
Yeah, it looks like a war zone. It's pretty awful, and there are 22 wildfires that have broken out. 22, and it's burned at least 170,000 acres, destroying 305,000 structures, including homes and businesses. As of Wednesday, 21 people have died, 185 people have been injured, and 150 people are still missing.
Wow.
I mean, and because of the fact that we're so, used to the fires happening every year, somewhere, somehow, there usually aren't the casualties. That's not usually a piece of it.
Okay.
But this has become so residential and even hitting the businesses that this is beyond what, like I said, what I've seen before.
Yeah. And then with the droughts, there's no water out there put it out. Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's gotten to the point where the firefighters have ceased with trying to put the fires out and have gone into rescue and recovery. Let's just try to get people out of the path.
And just let it burn itself out.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty intense. I have a friend who works for a winery in Napa who, you see the picture on his Facebook page as the cover photo. Beautiful green pastures and all of that. And then he's showing pictures of what happened after, and it is just leveled the whole place.
Jeez.
Yeah. So,
I just got to say real quick, I just want to make sure that it's said that global warming or this weather change is real.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like we had a lot of rain earlier this year. They said that the drought was over, at least in LA. But every year since at least 2012, it's been getting hot and humid. And I'm talking like 60-70% humidity.
And it doesn't get humid
like
out there.
90, 100 degrees in LA. Like it's been like 90 degrees at 2 o'clock in the morning.
See, and that's unusual. The heat, not so much. Maybe, and that is pretty intense heat though. But the humidity, I didn't really experience humidity until I moved over here to the south because it was just so uncommon.
Right.
It's definitely been happening in the past 5 years.
Wow.
Definitely.
Wow. Okay, well, we have other news to cover, but you know what? We're going to cover that later because those were probably the two most pressing issues. But when we come back, I'm really ready to delve into this conversation.
Let's go. Let's go.
So stay with us. We'll be right back,
ready.
and we're going to be talking about black women and black men.
Major key alert. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kind of love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Uncle Dan? Mom? Dad? If you store your guns properly, so not just anyone can get to them. I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
Safer when my friends come over. As your neighbor, I'll feel safer.
As a school teacher, I'll feel safer.
We'll all feel safer.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and we are talking about the connection and the relations and the dynamics between black women and men. And I kept it open on purpose. I could have said we're going to talk about love and relationships, but I want to look at the whole thing. I want to look at, yeah, we have a lot of ways in which we're connected, and I want to make sure that we cover all of that. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show is because there was a post that I don't know what was going on that day, but two of my Facebook friends did a post about the relationship between black men and black women, and they happened at the same time on the same day, and they do not know each other. Wow. It was Yohance Serrant and Grace Grant, and Grace she was going to join us today, but she's actually on a plane right now, so it didn't work out. So I'll kind of try to speak to her point of view as much as I can, because I had a good conversation with her. But let me just say let me read what she posted. She said, "This may ruffle some feathers, and of course it's not all men. But in my experience of dating and comparing a wide variety of black men across the African diaspora, an African American man is best described to me as an African man and a racist white man rolled into one body." Mind you, this came out before the article came out, which makes sense considering the obvious black American circumstances surrounding our history. I have clearly seen the watered-down effect between a pure African man and an African American man. Black African men treat black women like racist white men treat black men. Even further, us black women still love and defend our African American men, particularly the damaged ones, almost as a victim grows to love its perpetrator, or like a slave grows to love its master. Are African American women suffering from Stockholm Syndrome in regards to black American men? Just my observation, and I'm willing to be convinced otherwise. This fueled, I was afraid of what this discussion was going to turn into, but I have to say that the majority, there were hundreds of responses, and the majority of them were women saying, "Oh my God, thank you for saying this. This validated my experience," which I thought there was going to be a fight. It turned into this whole unity thing, and which was like, whoa. So I scroll down Facebook, and then I see Yohance's post. Okay. And Yohance says, "Fellas, we keep saying, quote, not all men, but there are so many of us doing dumb ass stuff. Mm-hmm. At the same time, it's kind of hard to take seriously now. You know it's true. We are not leading on the species credibility scoreboard at all. Like, we're just not. LOL." I'm going to let y'all talk. Those are the two quotes. What? Yeah. Talk. I don't even have a question. I just want to hear what you think.
Well, so let me jump in real quick on a little bit of the context of what I wrote.
Okay.
And some more context about myself, especially as we're talking about black people, and I'll try to not keep it long-winded.
Okay.
Firstly, everything that I'm approaching, especially these days in regards to the art that I'm doing, in regards to the discussions that I'm having, is in this idea of decolonizing ourselves from a lot of this Western mentality, a lot of white supremacist mentality. So most of my life, I've always felt kind of like an outsider because there were certain things, at least about American culture that didn't sit well with me.
Okay.
I was largely raised by my mom, and she taught me at an early age a lot about Black history, African kings and queens, slavery, all of that type of stuff. She, was an activist herself. So, learning that history early, it always sat with me that there was something about how the colonizers would talk about indigenous people being so much more generous and friendly and equal with each other in certain things. So I always kind of felt like a lot of the standards people of color were trying to live to were still trying to emulate white supremacy and white standards and Western standards. So I don't believe, first off, I'm not in the belief of any kind of battle of the sexes. To me, that's a Western idea, that we need to be black, that women and men of any kind need to be fighting each other or fighting over power. That's just not, we got to flip that lens. So when I wrote that, I was working on the Misrepresented Project. I was dealing with, seeing a lot of what the main producer, Adrienne Williams, a lot of what she was going through in creating it, where we had one guy who nearly tried to take her idea and tried to poach some of our models. I had another guy who tried to cheat me out of some money. There was another dude who was supposed to pay a friend and he didn't, and then I had hear from two other people who describe him as shifty. And so there's a thing that I just started noticing about men and boys, at least at a certain age, where they start lacking a certain amount of discipline, and it causes them to just kind of do whatever they kind of think they should or want to do. And the thing is that when we start treating each other badly, it doesn't matter if you treat your girl good. Okay, I didn't cheat on my girlfriend. Okay, but then you cheated somebody out of their money. That doesn't make you an honorable man.
Right.
When you play this person or play that person, how is your girl supposed to look at you? And mind you, I also want to just keep this, at least spark this in here and there, that, yes, I'm talking predominantly heterosexual relationships, but I mean, across the board, whatever kind of relationship you have, how can someone honor you as a man and call you a good man if you're still slacking on your discipline in every place else? And then that makes men, and then that makes men overall look bad, because just because you're just like the Weinstein, you created all these great movies and everything, but then you're doing other things behind closed doors, and then when that comes to light, then who are you?
Right.
So the reason why I wrote that was for us to say, like, look, let's not sit here and say not all men, but then you're going around doing the flip side of things. Now, when it comes to your homegirls, your friend's other quote, I've seen a lot of women who have agreed or felt that way, and then I've seen a lot of women who disagree.
Yes, there was
But the point that I'm concerned at is that the language and a lot of the framing of these discussions are that black women nearly feel held hostage. And there's a point at which we do need to ask why the environment feels that way, but there's also kind of a point where I have to say, okay, are you're feeling like you're held hostage? Like there's a point at which, we got to really pay attention to the language that we're using when we're talking about the circumstances of what's going on. That's basically the best way I can put it.
Okay. Well, when we come back, we got to hear Robert Pierce's take on this as well. So stay with us, and we'll be right back.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby.
Goo goo gaga.
Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're not the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
Are not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you going to do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan.
We could share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
And get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
If you're looking for that ratchet, you're in the wrong place. It's the nation's urban internet station, Sensation Station Network.
In the interest of science,
All right, so the science. Today's research for this first hour is brought to you by Red Door Consulting. Red Door Consulting is the company that can help get your company to the next level. It is a boutique management consulting firm that prides itself as an innovative leader in brand development. So Tarshish Jordan is the president of this organization, president and founder, and she has done some amazing things for companies, for organizations, and for individuals. So check them out at reddoorconsulting8.com. That's Red Door Consulting and the number 8.com. So today's theory is what is called crossover theory. Okay. And crossover theory basically talks about how one person's level of stress can be basically transferred over to somebody else.
Absolutely.
So, so it is contagious.
Yeah.
Studies investigating the crossover of job stress and strain between partners have shown that job demands are transmitted from job incumbents to their partners, affecting psychological and physical stress, health. So what you're going through at work, you bring home, even, especially if you're not paying attention to it, and that is going to, in turn, stress out the people that are in your home. Let's see, there's a study that was conducted by Baker and Company, Baker and folks, and it was published in the Journal of Applied Psychology. And they did a study among 168 couples of dual earner parents who use insight from their previous family conflict to propose, they basically looked at how, okay, I'm trying to get past all this fancy talk here. The authors basically, they said that for both men and women, they thought that job demands would foster their own work-family conflict. And so they looked at that, and they found that basically that is absolutely true. Mm-hmm. But what they also found that was surprising is that it doesn't matter the gender. So it doesn't, they assume that it would probably be more so that if the man is stressed at work, he's more likely to bring the stress home than the woman would. Well, this study found that, nope, it's pretty equal. It doesn't matter who's stressed, male or female, they're both going to bring that stress home. Yeah. So I thought that this was really important because we talk about the different levels of stressors that we have as African American men and women, from the standpoint of the workplace, from microaggressions, what's going on in society with police brutality, all of those things that come together and compound us. How do we resist passing that stress on to the other person, and that person, kind of just passing it back and forth? Yeah. And so that's the research.
Wow. Okay.
So yes. But I'm really anxious to hear Robert's take.
Well, I want to speak on that because in my own home, I can definitely say, if I had a stressful day, I'll set the tone in the house when I get home. Yeah. And I even notice when my wife has a stressful day at work, the atmosphere shifts. So what I try to do is, before I get home, try to dump that stuff off. So whatever way, got to be a healthy way. Right. And so I may drive the long way home and play some overly aggressive music.
Get it out.
To get it out. Yeah. And literally so I don't come in because it shifts the atmosphere immediately. Interesting. You can just tell.
Well, it's interesting that you said overly aggressive music because I would have thought, some meditative music, but it's different for everybody.
Yeah, for me, it's aggression. I want to get out, so let me get it out.
Right.
In my music. Right. And then when I get home, then I can cool out. But, that aggression has to go somewhere because, like you said, you may come home and driving home and the police are following me.
Right.
You know, I live in a good neighborhood, but they follow me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gets you mad.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or you look at the news, all that's going on,
Right.
or just what's going on in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so to get that aggression out, you know, some folk go to the gym first.
Yeah.
And, you know, so whatever it is that's healthy,
To figure out what you
figure
need
it
to
out
do. Yeah.
before you get home,
Right.
because it's definitely going to set the atmosphere.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Yohance, do you have anything to add to that with the stress?
If it were me, especially with whoever I got to come home to, I'll probably tell them as early as possible, hey, I'm having a stressful day, so don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Communicate. That's good. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's so important. Yes. All right. So before the break, we talked about what the different, you know, a couple of Facebook posts that was posted by Yohance and a friend of mine, Grace, and we got to hear Yohance's take on it as the beginning of the conversation. So I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I didn't read the articles, but just hearing, I think, as everyone said, that we have to be careful with the language.
The language.
Of and how we're presenting it. I get the argument, and I can see the perspective from the woman who wrote that, because that's her experiences, and I definitely respect the experiences, but that's not everyone's experience.
Right.
We as black men, well, we know we got some issues, and I would be the first to say that we have to be more mindful how we present ourselves and carry ourselves with one another, and especially with our black women. We mess it up a lot. Let's be real. You know, brothers, let's stop playing games. We mess up a lot, and a lot of it we do on purpose. We know what we're doing, and we're doing it, and we got to stop it. But even in that, there are some brothers out there who are getting it right, and I don't think the conversation leans more towards them. And, you know, I said them. I don't even put myself in that category.
I don't know why.
It's them. No, I'm jacked up. My wife been married me 21 years. She knows.
We should have had her sitting here too.
Yeah, that I could mess it up, and I messed it up on purpose sometimes.
But I mean, is it okay? So what part of that is just I'm human and I mess up? Because who doesn't mess up?
Yeah.
And what part of that is, you know, I don't know. How do you separate that out?
It's hard because, you know, I always tell people, you know, there's mistakes that people make, and there's character traits. And we have to separate the two. You know, there's some people that make mistakes and they make them over because they haven't learned, but then there's some that's their character. Okay. And they're not going to change. They're doing it on purpose. They see what they're doing. They're a manipulator, they're a conniver, they're shiesty. They're telling you who they are. And unfortunately, we don't believe them most of the time, especially women, because those guys know how to talk. Yeah. We know how to talk. Yeah. And I can act nice for a season.
Right.
To get what I want.
Wow. So that reminds me of a statement that a friend of mine told me, and he said that that men are opportunists. And this was under the backdrop of men will do what women allow them to do. Unless a woman holds them accountable, they're going to do what they're allowed to do. That makes me wonder, is that fair to say, or is it, you know, can a man just, you know, not, you know, make a decision without having a woman have to hold him accountable for making the right decision? Hold your thoughts before you respond.
I'm about to go.
We're going to go to break, and when we come back, I want to hear both of your responses to that question. We'll be right back.
Vince Lombardi once said that it's hard to be aggressive when you're confused. Some of us think that taking our lives to the next level, both personally and professionally, is a confusing and complicated process. Guess what? It's not, and I can prove it. My book, Truisms, will show you how living your life by rules that are so self-evident and obvious, you'll say, I knew that. This powerful yet short, detailed bestseller is on sale right now, under $10. Go to michaelmcfadden.com. That's michaelmcfadden.com, and let Truisms help help you to the next level.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful posts online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, Beyond Differences and I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and we are talking about the dynamics between black women and black men. And we have two black men who are with us on the show today. We have Mr. Robert Pierce, who's here in studio, and we have Mr. Yohance Serrant, who is on the phone all the way from lovely Southern California. So before the break, I asked the question, because I had a friend tell me that men are opportunists and that they are going to do what they are allowed to do. So if they are interacting with a woman who isn't holding them accountable, they're going to do whatever it is that they're allowed to do. So my question was, does a man have to make a decision about what he does based on a woman holding him or not holding him accountable? And Robert was ready to jump on that one.
Well, a man does not. A boy does.
Okay.
And there's a lot of grown boys. And what I mean by that, let me fix this up and help everyone out. As a man, when you really accept your manhood and know who you are, then you'll start making decisions based upon yourself and knowing what you want. A boy is going to be led by mama.
Okay. Oh, okay. I get that. This is the light bulb went on that one. Okay,
got it. It's going to be led by mama. And so, mama has to dictate
mama
to
has
a
to
boy.
hold him accountable.
Hold me accountable.
I'm not trying to be nobody's mama.
Yeah.
Outside of
Many women say that, but
we do it.
You do it. You want it. You want it. You want it. Yeah.
I'm not doing it now, but I have done it.
Absolutely.
Yohance.
There's a lot in there that I'm going to try to keep contained.
Okay.
Here's the thing. There's a difference between being somebody's mom and holding them accountable. And yes, men want the reflection of themselves to hold them accountable. If this is just kind of human nature, period. Here's the flip side of it. I've heard a lot of women tell me, I need a man that can keep me in check. Or I know that I can get this way and that way, so I need a guy to kind of keep me like X, Y, and Z.
I've heard that too.
And I find that usually to be problematic because it's like, if you know that you have an issue or something like that, I don't need to be your father. I don't need to train you or whatever. I don't do that. So if there's something that we need to talk about in terms of how we treat each other, then cool, but I don't really do overpowering leverage dynamic. I don't do that. So it's just like you would with any other kid. And my brother was over here. We were advising my sister and about a situation, and it was like when you see a child, if they knock something over, and you say, okay, don't do that again, or else you're gonna get a whooping. Then they knock it over again. Then you say, okay, don't do that, or else you're gonna get a whooping. Then the kid isn't gonna really take you seriously. There's a point at which a lot of guys have said it at least one point or another that a lot of times a girl will say, I don't do this, I don't do this, I don't do that, and then when it comes to actual action, then they end up kind of folding. So if you don't stand your ground, and if you don't hold them accountable and say, you said you were going to do this, you didn't do it. That's the bottom line. It doesn't have to be an emotional thing, and I think that a lot of times we react out of emotion of why somebody didn't do what I wanted them to do, but it doesn't mean that sometimes you can't just bring it up or check them or whatever. But I think that a lot of times women expect that guys are going to do it out of their own volition, and sometimes they will and sometimes they won't.
And we always want them to.
Sure.
We always
But,
fully
you know,
expect that they will, even if their track record has shown that they won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta cut you off right here because we're about to go to break. And then we'll be right back to continue this conversation on the live exchange.
Your health is at stake. Diabetes.
Diabetes, cancer, heart disease, yeah, right. I'm too young to worry about all of that, or am I? Millions of Americans are being diagnosed younger and younger each year. I guess it's really no surprise with how much our lifestyles have changed. More fried fast foods, extreme stress from work. 176 million people in North America consume unhealthy drinks. I know I do. Who could be next? My brother? My sister? Me? I think it's time to make a difference, and so should you. Extreme X2O alkaline water, designed to cleanse your body with just 2 simple steps. Shake and wait. Not only will it help clean your kidneys, liver, and intestines, but it also helps with weight loss and anti-aging. Sign me up today. AbundantLifeMovement.com. You know, I better go call my sister to let her know about this. You should really tell a friend too, because is it really gonna kill you to shake and wait?
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
There's a power you have within you, unlike any other. You can't explain it. It's just there. It drives you, compels you. You cannot ignore it. Do you feel it? It's that power that tells you you can do the absolute impossible. The power that tells you you're more than what you currently are. The power that tells you it's time. Launch. Move. Skyrocket your life with Rocket Sports One fitness gear. RocketSports-One.com.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on the vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
And so a new American industry has been born.
Sensation Station Network.
Keeping your balance with Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela.
All right, welcome back. So this week's Balance Challenge, I want you all to start talking to each other. That is my mission in life, is to help people communicate with one another so that we can get to deeper levels of understanding. So because we too often do we make assumptions, do we paint everybody with a broad brush and generalize that, all people of this background are this way or that way, and that's just not necessarily true. So what I want you to do this week is to sit down with somebody and have a very real and open conversation with them. I want you to have a conversation and learn their story. So somebody that you don't already know their story, or there's probably elements of their story that you just don't know. I want you to sit down and have a conversation and just listen to their story. Now, and it's not with the intention for you to be able to tell your story too. I want you to learn how to just listen and just take somebody's story in and digest it and listen with empathy and really just try to connect with who this person is. So that is my challenge for you this week. Find somebody, pick somebody. If you're a black woman, I encourage you to choose a black man. If you're a black man, I encourage you to choose a black woman, just based on the topic of today's show, and sit down with them and learn their story. That's your challenge for this week.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and we are talking about the dynamics between black women and black men. Why black women and black men? Well, we both have a shared history, and there are definitely some challenges and some tension that has taken place between us. There's definitely a lot of love, and I see a lot of very positive relationships, but there are some challenges that I definitely want to see addressed, which is why we are talking about this on today's show. So the balance challenge was to have a conversation with somebody, so I really want you all to take that challenge on. There was an article that came out a couple of weeks ago that everybody was under fire about. Everybody was very, there was some, I got pulled into some conversations. People tagged me. Dr. Pam has an opinion. What does Dr. Pam have to say? And to be very honest, I really didn't voice an opinion about the article either way because I felt like the timing was just really bad. We were in the middle of the firestorm with the football players and Kaepernick trying to take a stand, for police brutality against men. And there were just a lot of things that were happening that I felt like this really pulled away from that. This was the article. It was titled "Straight Black Men Are the White People of Black People." Now, I understand the gist of the article, and I'm not saying that the person was necessarily wrong. Here is what the basis of the article was. It was basically looking at black males within the black culture from a standpoint of privilege, privilege over black women, and just the things that black women experience often at the hands of black men that black men do not acknowledge. So that was the basis of the article. I didn't touch bases with you, Yohance, about whether or not you read it, but I know that Robert Pierce here read it. Do you guys have thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, I read the article this morning, and I have to say, at first I was enraged, even to the point walking up the stairs, we had the conversation.
Yes.
But I've been mulling it over, and I have to say I agree. And I don't know if that's a bad thing. It just is what it is. The single black male in the context of the black community.
In the context, that's important.
Solely in the context, hear me everyone.
Yes.
Solely in the context of the black community, we would be considered. Now I don't like the language again.
Yes, the language.
of being the white male, but in this context, I understand what the writer was saying.
Okay.
More so than, I had to take emotion out of it. But we are the the straight black male. If there was a hierarchy in the African American community, we would be at the top.
At the top. Okay.
Hands down.
Okay. And I'm going to, before I let you respond, Yohance, I'm just going to read an excerpt from the article. It says, when black women share that we pose the same existential and literal danger to them that whiteness does to us, this is a black man speaking, and when black women ask us to give them the benefit of the doubt about street harassment and sexual assault and other forms of harassment and violence we may not personally witness, and when black women tell us that allowing our cousins and brothers and coworkers to use misogynistic language that propagates the culture of danger, and when black women admit how scary it can be to get followed and approached by a man while waiting for a bus or walking home from work, and when black women articulate how hurtful it is for our reactions to domestic abuse and their rapes and murders to be that women need to do differently to prevent this from happening to them, instead of what we men need to do differently to prevent this from happening to them, their words are met with resistance and outright pushback. After demanding from white people that we're listened to and believed that our livelihoods are considered, our ears are shut off and our hearts shut down when black women are pleading with us. All right. What are your words, Yohance?
I had a lot of discussions with that article, and I talked to everybody from other black men to other professors that I used to have at Pomona, various men and women, and I had a lot of different perspectives on it. There's some parts I agree with, there's some parts I don't, and I think that there's some parts that need a lot more exploration and kind of picking apart. The part that I do agree with largely is, one, yes, men in general have had the advantage across the world and across the globe. If I go to the Caribbean or, various countries in Africa, a lot of places even here in America, as a male, as a black man, there's a lot of things that I could probably do and get away with. I think that there's also this hard-headedness with a lot of men that they're particularly talking about, especially where the quote came from in terms of the dynamic where, men will be like, the responses will be like, well, what were you wearing? Well, what were you doing?
Absolutely.
Well, what was this? And it becomes victim blaming.
Right.
But there's a lot of other context to that, and I just have to, again, repeat this Western mentality, the white supremacist mentality, the idea that a lot of black men are trying to live up to in a standard of being a man is what we see white men doing, or what white culture has deemed as being masculine or as being a man. I take what I want. I get what I want. I go after what I want. I'm the man. I do this. I do that. I call the shots. And we got to start asking ourselves, when we start thinking about what society tells us we need to be as a man or a woman, a lot of times that society that we're talking about is American culture, and American culture is largely white culture.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of times, yes, a lot of black men are performing white cultural standards or trying to reach that goal, but they're still black, so there's certain things they can't do. I think the idea of what I don't agree with is this idea of comparing privilege to who gets celebrated the most for dying. I think that that's something that we need to really kind of think about as an idea. Is it a privilege that now more people pay attention because I'm dying, or because more black men are dying? And does that negate the fact that women are also dying by the hands of black men, which then, leads into when we talk about poverty and the same stress dynamic you're talking about of coming home and trying to reach these goals that we're all trying to do with each other, but we end up fighting each other,
So my question then is, is there a way to pose this conversation in a way that brings us together? Because I think that the points here are valid with regards to women. Black women have been saying, here's our pain, and black men have, and of course not all black men, but black men have said, yeah, they've disregarded it. But is there a way to have this conversation without getting those emotions up and in a way that's going to bring us together? Because my concern with the way, and this is why I was concerned about the timing, because the way the conversations were going is they were very divisive. And, while the truth is being put out there, the conversations were divisive. So I don't know that it brought people together.
Yeah, and I say the same sentiments. Timing is everything. And, it was like this came out at the worst possible time, where on one hand we're trying to get unified, and then they throw this in the ring, this article. Yeah. Real subtle, but now, okay, men and women go back to their corners.
Right. That's how I felt about it. So it was hard for me to even digest the content of the article, because I saw the fierce battle that was going on between black men and black women just on social media alone as a result of this article. And so for those of you who tried to pull me into the conversation and got frustrated because I refused to get involved in it, it was because my heart was in a whole different place at the moment. Not that I don't think that there's work that we need to do between us, but right now we've got, the president telling our black male athletes that, they need to be kicked out and they need to be fought. And there's a time and place for everything.
And the owners of the football, we can go on. Owners now saying you better not.
And so for me, it was like, okay, that is not, like, we need to really focus on something that's going to bring us together so that we can get something done. Let me stop you right there, because I have to go into the love letters real quick, and then we'll come back to this.
Love Notes with Dr. Pamela.
Okay, so today's love note comes from Nicole. And Yohance, I know you had something to add, so if what you have to add can integrate with Nicole's question, that'll be perfect. But she says, Dear Dr. Pamela, I am single and dating. I consider myself to be a pretty good catch. I'm athletic, have a great career, and I love to travel. The black men I have met are consistently not interested in a serious relationship. They are dating multiple women and become frustrated when I express being ready to settle down. My friends have suggested that I broaden my horizons and date outside of my race, but I truly love my black men. What can I do? This question comes up all the time when we do events. Oh, I hear you, Yohance. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ. I kid you not, like, it's so, the thing is it's so repetitious. It's so repetitious.
Yeah. It is.
And I think I can incorporate both. Okay, so first off, I think I understand what everybody is talking about in terms of, like, yo, we're gaining ground and we're focusing and lasering in. We got the NFL on our sites. We got Kaepernick going on. We got all this going on. So why are we now going this way, right?
Right.
Now, the piece that was written by a guy.
It was.
And I think that we do need to, as a lot of people say, you can, think about two things at once, right? You can think about the black male, women and men dynamic along with what's going on.
Absolutely.
But I think really what the undercurrent of it and the idea underneath it subconsciously is black women love black men so much that they don't want to get discarded. So when we start having this NFL discussion and black women come in to reinforce us and back us up, then once the fight is done, or whatever it do, we go back home and then we go back to being however it was on the dynamic.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We can't ask for the support and then once they give us the support and be like, all right, cool, thanks, go make me a sandwich. You know what I mean? That's not being fair. You got to be more appreciative of that. Now, for the girl in the letter, again, this is the thing. There's a lot of black women need to ask themselves, are you that dedicated to the idea that you need to be with a black man that you will throw off the entire trajectory of your possible future just to fit that narrative? I'm not saying that you can't, I would love black women to be with black men, or especially like me. I'm single, just put that out there. But, the thing is that there's so many women that say, I have to do this, and I have to do that. I have to have it that way. If a person loves you and they are about fighting white supremacy, it doesn't matter. If they're going to treat you well, focus on that. But if you're just trying to do this, the story, for your own life, then you're really doing it out of ego, not out of what you really want. If dudes are saying they don't want nothing serious, be like, okay, cool, thank you, bye. And then when they find themselves alone and thinking about you, then they say, okay, well, maybe I should go back and reconsider, because dudes do change their mind. So, again, what we said earlier, it's what you let them get away with it. If you let them get away with saying, nah, I ain't having nothing serious, then you ain't going to have nothing serious.
Well, it's funny because during the break, Robert had mentioned that men will get it right for one woman. And I don't think you had a chance to elaborate on that, but that was, you could use that during the break.
Even if we, like, say I don't want to settle down date, and we go away and, we get lonely. And, we'll come to ourselves and say, wow, that sister that I dated, that was really the one. I was just playing games. We'll get ourselves together and come back and say, okay, I was wrong. Right. And everything that the woman wanted the man to be vulnerable and honest and all that, when he come back, the sincere guy, you're going to get all that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you're not going to get that if you don't hold your ground. If you don't hold him accountable,
absolutely,
he's not going to have any reason to.
And you won't have any room for him because you're going to have a whole bunch of other jokers there still playing games.
You got your collection of jokers.
Yeah. And so, as the brother said, you can't be so locked in on your ideal sisters that you're missing out on the whole world because you're waiting for a black man to get it right.
So to what you both just said, my concern is, what if I just so happen to be attracted solely to black men? And it's not like it's my ego. Or I cannot, picture myself physically involved, and I'm just speaking hypothetically. This may or may not be true about Dr. Pamela, but I cannot picture myself being physically involved with a man of a different culture. What if that is just the case? Like, people are attracted to certain genders, certain sizes, and if the attraction isn't there, I'm gonna have to leave that question on the table because I'm being signaled that we need to go to
Okay.
break. But so hold on to your answers, and we'll be right back.
Well, you'll see what happens. The Sensation Station Network.
All right, welcome. You are in the second hour of the live exchange, and today we are talking about love, power, and oppression, the dynamics between black women and black men. And today I am joined in the studio by Mr. Robert Pierce, author and entertainment manager, and Mr. Yohance Serrant, entertainer and or community activist, which I know I got your titles all wrong because you're a little bit of everything, both of y'all.
That does right.
Okay, good, because you guys cover a lot of based on what you do. Joining us all the way from Southern California, by the way. So we've been having a really great conversation about, we've been really focusing on black men because honestly, I just want to know more. You know, I'm selfish here. I brought them on so I can learn personally some more things about the two of you. If any of you want to call and become a part of this conversation or text, you can call or text 678-613-5857 if you want to join this conversation. That's 678-613-5857. Would love to hear your input. So my question before the break, what if, because the question was for Nicole, was from Nicole about, you know, she dates black men and none of them have been ready for commitment, and her friends are telling, girl, you need to broaden your horizons. Janet Jackson broadened her horizons. You know, there's a lot of people who broaden their horizons. I just so happen to not, we're hypothetically speaking here, be attracted to men of other cultural backgrounds or racial backgrounds. What is that? Do you guys have a response to that? What if you're just not attracted?
I mean, are you sure?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, are you sure? Like, let's really, like, okay, so first of all, let's dispel the notion, because as we're having this conversation, I want to dispel the idea that, first of all, that there's this kind of unspoken idea maybe that maybe in other cultures they're not dealing with that problem, that white people don't have issues finding a good man, or that Asian people don't have issues finding a good wife or a good mate or spouse, or that everybody has this issue to some extent. Black people seem to talk about it the most. And the thing is that if you just have just no attraction to anything else and that's what you want, cool. But then I would say to you, all right, so you love black men and you want to make sure that you have black men in your life. What if that doesn't happen for you? What if it just doesn't happen? Are you willing to accept black man or nothing? You know, I've had to go through a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, the thing,
It's a narrow frame of thinking.
If you come into a relationship with too much ego, it's not going to work. You have to be ready for love, and you got to be ready. And I'm a spiritual person, so whatever you want to relate it to, but I believe that you got to let God come in how it needs to come in, whether you get what you want or you don't. But if you're going to, you know, if you are going to self-sabotage and run away from someone who's going to give you everything that you want because they didn't come looking like how you want, okay, fine. But if you just you say, I want a black man, okay, cool. Well, you got Caribbean black men, you got African black men, you got European black men, you got American black men. There's all kinds. Yeah. So, you know, get out there and do your thing.
I like it.
Yeah, I concur.
I can't even argue
with
that.
Limiting yourself is you're putting yourself in a box, and you know what you're going to do, as my brother said, is self-sabotage.
Yeah.
And you're going to find yourself frustrated. And then the fear is you just get to a point where you really just settle.
Yeah, you know, and it's interesting.
Because you want a black man, and so, okay, here you go.
Right. Wow. Well, you know, it's funny because so Robin and I have been working together on the Women, Wine, and Wisdom events that happen here. They happen all over the country. In fact, we're going to be in Atlanta on November 11th. We're going to be in California in February. And so So those of you in California, Yohance, you
We're
got to be
coming.
there. We're coming.
All
But the Women Want Wisdom, for example, the last one that we had, and what it is a discussion event for both men and women to have exactly the kind of conversations we're having right now. But you're live and you're in person, and you get to practice your communication skills with each other. And what a couple of women have said, and particularly at the last one, we had a woman who said that, the dating experiences have just been bad here in Atlanta. A lot of people like to paint Atlanta with the worst dating situation ever.
Yeah.
And it's just been bad. It's been bad. And every man I meet is this and that. And I challenged her to think about her approach to dating and her mindset and what she brings to the table in dating. Because when you expect to meet trash, then you're going to, and you do meet trash, you're going to say, well, here he is, and I'm going to go ahead and try to work with this because this is what I expected anyway.
Yeah, and when you go to the trash landfill,
that's what you're going to find.
That's what you're going to find.
Right.
You're not looking for treasure.
Right. Ooh,
you know what I mean?
good
And so
stuff.
that plays many contexts.
Yeah.
With so many men and women, we go to the trash landfill.
Right.
And then try to
clean it
figure
up.
out, try to find treasure.
We're going to dust it off.
Yeah.
And that's my new mate.
Right.
I've seen it happen too many times. All right, we'll be right back on the Live Exchange.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to Facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Hi, I'm Viola Davis. Did you know that 1 in 5 kids in America struggle with hunger? Growing up, I was one of those kids. But we can solve this. When we make breakfast happen for kids in our neighborhood, we have the power to end childhood hunger, create bigger, brighter school days, and healthier minds and bodies. Go to hungeris.org and lend your time or your voice.
We're hungry for more.
A message from the Albertsons Companies Foundation and the Entertainment Industry Foundation.
Great leaders aren't born, they're made. And not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Lack of diversity. Gas prices.
Michael Jackson. Trending topics.
All right, so trending. We didn't get to talk about this in the first hour, but in rapper Nelly, I heard some about it, but I didn't realize this is what happened. But he was arrested this past Saturday morning on second-degree rape charges. He was later released, and the charges were dropped. He has vehemently denied any wrongdoings. So that just kind of leaves me with, well, I don't really know what to say about that because,
this is, in the entertainment business, this happens all the time. Unfortunate situation, you meet somebody and it goes to that place.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the young lady, what it sounds like, didn't like how she was treated afterwards. Mm-hmm. She thought maybe there was going to be some type of relationship. And it was just what it was. And, we just got to be, our entertainers, our men in general, we got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Is
that what the story is?
Yeah, that's the loosely, yeah.
Okay,
He's
okay.
like, he was like, it was a bad judgment.
Okay.
We did it, but then all of a sudden, it didn't turn out the way she wanted it to turn out.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the police.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And that's one of the things that concerns me. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
And I could bring this back, because in all fairness, to have a balanced conversation, there are many ways in which women take advantage of the vulnerability of men.
Right.
And from child support type situations to rape to, there's a lot of things that leave men very vulnerable, and women know it.
And then even on the flip side, I want to speak, it could be that he kind of pushed himself a little,
Too far.
a little too far.
Yeah.
And, so we don't want to blame a victim if she is truly a victim. But it's just so funny, especially with these celebrities. We got to be careful.
Absolutely.
On the positions we put ourselves with, just because she's pretty and she's willing to do it. You know what? Maybe I don't
might
need.
not be the best thing to do.
Yeah, not in the RV at the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not good.
Let's do some research before you get enough that
Right,
you
absolutely.
can turn one down.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. You would think, but but there is a thing, about power.
Yeah.
And that's what rape is all about.
And
It's
so
about
it's just
power
unfortunate
and
he's in that. Whatever it is, we just pray that everyone comes out okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Okay, well, talking about the NFL, I think I have talked about the NFL every single show for the past year, ever since Kaepernick started to kneel, and it's just interesting how the focus on this has just been so intense. Not necessarily for the reason that it was intended to be focused on.
Total diversion.
Now it's about patriotism and being loyal to the troops and that kind of thing, and so. Vice President Mike Pence flew all the way from Vegas to the Indianapolis Colts 49ers game, only to leave following the playing of the national anthem because the players protested. So this little stunt cost the U.S. taxpayers a small fee of $242,000 because he went to the game and he just left and he said, we don't support lack of patriotism and that kind of thing. However, if you guys remember, Eminem, he just had a video come out, and he blew it out of the water with his views on Trump, and he made a really good point in that video when Pence and Trump talk about patriotism, and in Trump's campaign, he criticized, McCain. He
for being a captured
war criminal, and said that
prisoner of war.
I want people who didn't get captured, and is that not a lack of patriotism? Is that not disrespect to the troops? So you're talking out of two sides of your mouth, and it just doesn't even make sense. So to take this a little bit further, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones stated that any of his players, by the way, because he owns them, who kneel during the national anthem will be benched. And then Jamel Hill, co-host of SportsCenter 6 on ESPN, was suspended 2 weeks by the company for saying that if fans were unhappy with Jones' remarks, they should boycott his sponsors. And then the NFL commissioner sent out a memo to all 32 NFL owners that players should, quote, stand for the national anthem. A meeting will be held next week for a vote on a new rule requiring players to stand.
Yeah.
Whew. Really?
All economics.
Yes.
Protect the shield at all costs.
But not the cause that originally, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, was about the violence towards black men with regards to police brutality. That was the original intent.
Yes.
None of these headlines here address that.
No. And they won't. And that's the deflection, is to put all this out there and put on everything else. But now the NFL is going to protect their shield.
Yeah.
And they're going to do, and so, when all the owners band together, that was to protect the shield.
Yes.
And now, but it's like, whoa, okay, you're getting ready to mess with our money for real. And that's not going to happen.
Wow.
That's not happening. Yeah.
Therefore,
can I say the N-word on this show?
I don't think so.
No, I won't say it. Okay. But really, because all the players banding together, they count all of them as one Negro. Look at it.
Yeah.
You just one Negro.
Right.
So we're not going to fold for one Negro. And so if you look at it, it's like they're banding together, but we all just one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whew. This is why there needs to be diversity in ownership.
Absolutely.
And, my goodness. So you're awfully quiet over there, Yohance.
I mean, to me, it's real clear right now. You know, either you with it or you're not.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that the NFL doesn't seem to really care about its players with CTE, you don't really see that they don't really care about how black people are treated, and you know whether you're viewing them or not, and you just gotta look at it for your entertainment. Okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
It's sad because I start thinking about when I think about these situations, and I start thinking about cats in the hood who you've been playing football since they were 7, 8 years old and want to get to the NFL.
Yeah.
And they're looking at them. They're looking at it like, okay, well, if you don't want to play, we'll just get these guys.
Absolutely.
You know,
Gosh.
It's a real crazy system, but you got to stick to your guns or your principles. So people need to really figure out what side of the aisle they're going to be on.
Yeah.
And that's why, and I totally get your point about, we can think about more than one thing at one time, because I have argued that point quite a bit. I'm going to throw a but in there. But, that was one of the reasons why it bothered me so much that we were having this big public all-out fight, about that article when this was going on. But I do agree that we can think about more than one thing at once. But I think that we should be able to think about more things at once. And I think that sometimes people can't because they get so caught up in their emotions that they lose sight of the bigger picture because they're so focused on something that somebody hurt their feelings.
Right.
So, okay. Well, we have to go to break. We have 5 seconds to break, and then I'll catch you when we come back.
Okay.
Uncle Dan? Mom? Dad? If you store your guns properly, so not just anyone can get to them.
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
Safer when my friends come over. As your neighbor, I'll feel safer.
As a school teacher, I'll feel safer.
We'll all feel safer.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans. When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer. I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day. Football stadium. I want to be a bike that races around the country. I want to be a bench on a forest trail. When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life.
Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
In the interest of science, 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 science.
All right, so it's really hard to get into this science because the conversation we're having prior to this is just so deep. But we're going to get back to it. But first, I want to present the science to you and it's brought to you again by Red Door Consulting and BBLA Cosmetics. BBLA Cosmetics is the company that is responsible for the look on my face today and every week. And honestly, I absolutely love the owner. Funmi is an amazing woman, and she has given a lot of insight. She often talks to me before the show. You got to make sure you cover this. Make sure you include that. So she has some really great insight. I've got to bring her on. But today's research is looking at the new midlife crisis for women, which is interesting because, and this is an article that came out of Oprah magazine, but it was written by Ada Calhoun, and it was a very long article, but it was intriguing to me because when we think of midlife crisis, at least in the past, when I was growing up, we thought midlife crisis, men in their 40s creeping into their 50s, and they see the gray hairs, and they start losing hair. And, just these body changes that are happening that basically say you are no longer in your 20s would usually be the onset of I was going to say post-traumatic, no, of midlife crisis. And, but what we're seeing nowadays, if we look at it from the standpoint of women, and the behaviors that would follow would be, I need to get a younger woman, I need to get a fancy car, I need to get a sports car, I got to reclaim my youth. Well, what we're seeing with Generation X women is that there is a crisis financially. So we are the first generation that has the most educated women of the cohort, but who are, believe it or not, who have downwardly spiraled from where their parents are. So at this same age group, parents secure, got the house, got savings, locked, everything, pension, they're good. This generation of women, even though they're more educated, they are facing more financial hardship than their parents did. And they talk about here with finances that we carry more debt than any age group, and that's $37,000 more than the national consumer debt average. We're some of the best educated women in history, and yet we're downwardly mobile. The cost of a home has increased by more than 80% from 1970 to 2000. And in the late 70s, annual tuition for four-year college was less than $11,000, and now it's 3 times that. And so now we're trying to help our kids with college and all of that, but now we've got more expensive houses, we've got more expensive college. More than half of unmarried Gen Xers have less than $50,000 saved. Who has this 50,000? I'm sorry. And then when a woman takes time off to care for a sick relative, and it's usually the woman who takes the time off, the potential cost in terms of lost wages and Social Security averages $324,000 over a lifetime. And then if we look at the job market, the job market is also a challenge for women of this generation, because they describe Generation X, which is this generation, as the wrong time, wrong place generation. And they noted that they're thwarted by boomers who can't afford to retire, and then they're threatened by the prospect of leapfrogging millennials. So we've got 49% of Gen Xers who feel stalled in their careers. So the midlife crisis, and then there was a whole other piece, which I didn't include here, but I did read, here it is, about the physiological changes that happen with women, and that it's happening earlier. And I knew I wasn't crazy, because I was in my 30s having hot flashes. And all the older women were like, baby, that's not hot flashes, and that's not hot. It was hot flashes. So according to this article, ours is the first generation to have gynecologists sit us down as early as our late 30s and tell us that signs like weepiness, hot flashes, or irregular periods can indicate that we have begun perimenopause, a term that no one used 20 years ago, but that is now out there. So Men, guys, when y'all are dating us in our 40s, I need you to think about this.
We got an old woman on our hand. We dating grandma.
That is not what I'm getting at. But yes, there are some definite challenges that are happening with this Gen X situation. It's not necessarily, we feel like we're old. It's, what the heck am I going to do to take care of myself in the next 40, 50 years? Because the finances are not looking good. All right, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Viola Davis. Did you know that 1 in 5 kids in America struggle with hunger? Growing up, I was one of those kids. But we can solve this. When we make breakfast happen for kids in our neighborhood, we have the power to end childhood hunger, create bigger, brighter school days, and healthier minds and bodies. Go to hungeris.org and lend your time or your voice.
We're hungry for more.
A message from the Albertsons Companies Foundation and the Entertainment Industry Foundation.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
All right, welcome back to Live Exchange. This is Dr. Pamela. So before we got into the, the research, well, actually, I would love to know if either of you have any thoughts or responses to the research about Generation X women having a new midlife crisis.
Yeah, I definitely, they have the new midlife crisis, and because they were so educated, are so educated, you are so educated, and you're able to acquire things. You went out and bought things and acquired debt
that we wouldn't have
otherwise did, So, in context to Atlanta, you started shopping at Lenox Mall and Phipps Plaza, buying St. John and the Louis Vuitton and the Gucci and all that, and didn't necessarily have the cash to pay for it.
Credit.
And went on credit.
Well, let me just say, according to this article, this wasn't as a result of our spending, but more so the result of the changes in the economy, with the rise in housing and the
and then we had the housing crash, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
And in that time, a lot of single black women that got out of college, they bought a house.
Right.
And they were giving them away.
Yeah. That was the first thing I did, is bought a house.
Me too.
And thank God I sold that thing before the crash, before I even knew a crash was coming.
Same here.
But
they gave me more house than I could afford.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a blessing.
Yeah.
I had a big, beautiful house, but we was house poor.
Yeah. And me, making kind of a really bad decision, not kind of, sold the house and made a nice profit on it. And where is it? Where is it? Is it in the bank?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that, I think being educated about what you do with your money, you know, really taking the time. And I'm not going to blame people for not educating me. I got to learn that for myself. You know, I've got to take the time. So now I'm going back and making sure and getting that education. Next time I get that kind of lump sum of money, what am I going to do with it? You know? So, but we've been talking about the dynamics between black men and black women. And for those of you who have anything to say about this, give us a call. You can call us or text us your comments, 678-613-5857. And we were talking about the, you know, well, I don't know if we want to go back into that conversation. We were talking about the NFL. It was just such a great conversation. And what do you say, Yohance?
Yeah, no, I had a point actually to make about that.
Yes,
I think
please do.
The NFL is actually kind of a perfect, almost like small metaphor for even this whole discussion. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or in that VSB article, you know, you got black men from childhood throwing their bodies into this game, getting brain damage. Yes, they're getting paid. Yes, they're getting to look like they're powerful and they're all this stuff, but they're breaking inside. And what does CTE do? A lot of the time, CTE causes men to also act aggressive. Not to say that they weren't maybe like that before, but then you've seen a lot of women say how their husbands or their dudes were changing seemingly because of it, and then they're getting, you know, the brunt end of it, and then now you have these white owners that are like, either you're going to do what we're saying or else. And at the same time, we get an article saying that black men are the white people of black people, and it's kind of like, sure, in this dynamic, but I mean, when we're talking about guys falling apart and dying, and then, you know, someone else, you know, putting their knee down and all those other things, because, I mean, it was still, I think, Sandra Bland and a lot of other women were
a lot of women involved.
Named, and definitely in that, and definitely a part of that kneeling. But, you know, the idea, again, when we say that white men or black men are the white men of black people, but they're falling apart inside and dying, you know, then we got, again, that's why I have a bit of an issue with that idea. Yes, I think mentally and how we behave is emulating or trying to emulate our master. I think a lot of NFL players want to be owners. But, you know, when you hit that glass ceiling and you're not invited to the country club, your male privilege gets you so far when you're black. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, that was really just kind of the point that I was going to make.
Well, and to your point of emulation, you know, when we do emulate our oppressors, you know, as soon as we get an opportunity to have a bit of power, it is not unusual, and it's shown itself throughout human history that we do what has been done to us. And the only way that we stop that is when we're conscious of it and we make a conscious decision not to. I talk about in my upcoming book about how human nature, you know, naturally we are here to protect ourselves and our bodies and to make sure that our bodies function and that we can survive. And I think for the greater purpose, which is to protect the human race, you know, but if we're not okay, we're not going to protect nobody. You know, we are going to be in survival mode. And sometimes being in survival mode means hurting whoever is in our path in order for us to survive. We have a warped kind of sense of survival, you know, at that point. We'll take down whatever we can. And Yohance, I was saying during the break, those who are on Facebook Live following us heard me say it. But I just think, why not just start a whole new NFL? I mean, why, you know, it is hard to become owners. You know, what would happen if every single black player in the NFL said, you know what, and you know what, I won't even limit to black. If every single player in the NFL who agrees with what's going on in terms of the protest or is upset about the oppression that's happening, just stepped down and said, you know what, we're not playing. We are just not going to play. We will compete amongst ourselves in our own league, but we are not competing in this league. I know it sounds pie in the sky, but it's possible.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm not necessarily a sports guy. I'll keep it real, but you know, there's more than enough players in the NFL where they say, okay, I'm not going to play anymore. Let's say I got this $1, $2, $3 million in the bank. That's not going to last me my whole life. So let me take, you know, $20,000 and invest it here and $20,000 and invest it there. let's get together and put our money together to make some stuff happen where we invested in X, Y, and Z or make our money work for us, so where it don't need to be no necessarily NFL playing football, but an NFL of black doctors, an NFL of black lawyers, an NFL of new industry. Like you know, I gotta preach on this real quick because you know, and I know you're gonna probably have to go to commercial in a second, but I've been tutoring since I was 17. Every black boy, boys in general, but black boys especially, between about 7th to 10th grade, they stopped doing their work. All of them mostly said that they wanted to be an artist or athlete or both. And you also, there were athletes that I tutored who their entire system was around them just playing sports, so they didn't know anything. So by the time they got to college or got to playing, they don't have no education to then say, well, what do I do? So we got to stop siphoning off the idea of quick money. We got to stop siphoning off the idea of, like, he's going to make it and pay for the family. We got to really collective, you know, talk about where all these things going and what kind of people are we nurturing and growing. If your boy is just playing basketball and you doing that, yeah, baby, that's good. You're going to go to the NBA. Then he breaks his leg, and now he's 25, and he got to live for the rest of his life.
And that was his whole livelihood.
You know?
Right.
Absolutely.
That's deep right there. And we see that happening with immigrant families. They band together. They figure out we're pulling all our money, and we're going to, you know, make it happen. And gosh, we're in a better position than that. We should be able to do that. Okay, yes, you're right. The break was coming soon. It's here now. So stay with us, and we'll be right back.
All right.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby.
Goo goo gaga.
Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
Are not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you going to do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan.
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
And get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I am your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful posts online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, Beyond Differences and I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
Deliberate dumbing down. Dumb down society.
Deliberate dumbing down of America.
Dumb down public. Why would they do this?
Sensation Station Network. Radio, not dumbed down.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and we are getting close to the end, so I want to make sure that we cover, so if you guys who are listening, you have any questions, comments, you want to jump into the conversation, I want to make sure you're able to get that out. You can give us a call, 678-613-5857. You can also text that number, 678-613-5857. I'm curious about your thoughts about this. Last week we had two guests on the show. They were psychologists, women, black women, and I wish that we were all here on this show together. But one of them is, they both focus on bias, and one of them focuses particularly on different types of sexism that happens. So she brought up the concept of benevolent sexism. And what benevolent sexism is the kind of sexism that is presented in a casual and nonchalant manner, encouraging both men and women to poke fun at each other. For example, when a guy asks his girlfriend if he can fold his clothes because, quote, she's better at chores than he is. Or when a man wants to open a door and do, those gentleman type gestures, and she is kind of resistant to it, and he is upset because he feels like she's not falling into her role. And so not that he's, so I needed her to clarify this for me when she first said it, because I thought, oh, wait a minute, I like doors opening and all that. She said, that's not the issue. She said, the issue is when a woman is being forced into her place, if she doesn't accept the gentleman gestures because he doesn't want her to, does that make sense? I don't know if I'm saying this right.
Sure. Look, okay, listen, there's something that I just want to throw in here, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to say a couple of points, and I may not have enough time to explain them all. One,
yeah, because you got to keep it short.
There are a lot of, I think that there's a lot of women that don't actually understand how men work. Okay. Men psychologically don't work the same way that women do.
Right.
It's not always an issue of, I want you to do what I'm telling you to do, but I would like you to accept. I've literally had to say this to women. Mm-hmm. I need you to allow me to be generous to you. Mm-hmm. I need you to allow me to treat you well. I've seen a lot of women, especially in these discussions of how they're treated, there's this kind of, paranoia on what ulterior motives are there, and I get that. But, a lot of women don't understand men don't work the same way and communicate the same way. So if you just don't understand men and women that your opposite communicates in a different way than you do, then it's not necessarily always about trying to subjugate someone.
Right.
So
and that's the thing, because I think what she said makes it benevolent sexism is when a man sees that a woman, or perceives that a woman should be, at home, not advancing in her career, or has certain ideas that she should be domestic, and she resists that when they have an issue with that. As long as she's domestic, she's fine.
Well,
she's great.
Okay.
As soon as she steps outside of that.
Yeah. Then just move on to another girl that wants to do that. Like like the idea that or the girl has to say, I'm not doing that, so I'm leaving. You know what I mean?
So they're not a match.
Where it's not compatible.
Yeah. Right. So that is what's called benevolent sexism, is a person's perception, whether they're male or female, that a woman fits in this box and she needs to stay in that box.
No.
No, I don't. Yeah, I can't eat that one.
Okay. Okay, and what she was saying is that it comes out in the form of gentlemanly gestures, and you don't really know if it's sexism until those gestures are resisted, and it comes out in a pretty bad way, in a negative way. Not, I respect you, but something must be wrong with you, kind of thing. So it's interesting. It's deep.
Okay.
All right. We'll be right back.
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This is big business. This is the American way.
Station Network.
See ya.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I think a really good demonstration of this. There was this radio show this morning that they do matching and hookups and that kind of thing. And this man wanted to be hooked up with a blind woman. He said she has to be blind. He's not blind. she has to be blind. He was preoccupied with that. And for me, and I was like, it was the weirdest thing until he said, because I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but when he said, I need somebody who I can help in that capacity in my life, I was like, ooh, there's something wrong with you. So you want to be in a position of power. You're looking for a relationship in which you can be a position of power. And I didn't,
that's a little sick.
And right. And I think that's the equivalent of the benevolent sexism. I think it's that. It's I need to be with somebody who is in a weaker position than me so that I can be that stronger person. Right. And you know, and so it was just the weirdest thing ever.
That's a little
yeah.
A little sick.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
You don't know who you are as a person, that you have to dominate someone.
Right.
So that's a whole different conversation.
So I think it's not about if you open doors or you don't open doors. I think it's about the intent behind it and your perception of the woman. So if your perception is she is weak and she needs me and I want to be in a position where I am needed in that way, then that's when it's benevolent sexism. You can't necessarily tell from the surface. You get to know when you understand what their intentions are. It's interesting. I see. What are you saying, Yohance?
Well, I mean, you know, I'll just quickly say that they also call that, you know, in certain circles, dominant and submissive roles. I mean, sometimes people just, some people want to enact that fantasy for their life.
Yeah. And some people,
is it sexist? Yes. If you believe that all women should do that, and that is your life view, then yes, that's sexist. If you're saying that that's the dynamic that I am comfortable with in my relationship, house, and that's the way in my relationship, and that's how it works, then I think that's a little bit different. But if you think that the world needs to run one way, then no, that's ridiculous. I
think that is a great distinction, and I think what it does is it allows us to not generalize and not look at particular gestures as oppressive, but more of a mindset of an individual, and to be willing to accept what two people decide is okay for them within the context of a relationship. So on that note,
you just don't date him.
Right, he's not for me.
I
don't think he would.
Yeah,
I'd drive him crazy. So we are really close to the end here, and I want to give you both the opportunity to let people know how to reach you if they need to reach you. If there is somebody who is an entertainer and they want to be managed, or how do they get in touch with you too? But try to keep it short and sweet.
This is Robert Pierce. You can follow me on Facebook, simply Robert Pierce, or Twitter or Instagram is SGI Robert. Again, SGI Robert on Twitter or Instagram. Facebook is just Robert Pierce. Come see me. I do so much more. So inbox me. I tell you what else I do.
Yep.
I do sell insurance. I go on for days.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Yohance.
You can find me on Facebook, Yohance, Yohance, last name Serrant. Instagram, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all that is Merc80, MERC80. And be sure to follow the project also that I'm still working on with the homegirl Adrienne Williams, which is Misrepresented. So MSRPRSNTD. So it's Misrepresented without the vowels on Instagram, and you can find that on Twitter too.
Okay, cool. And if you all get to the Facebook live feed, if you can enter that into there as well, then people can just click on it, which would be great. I want you all to mark your calendars for Saturday, November 11th. Yes, Women, Wine, and Wisdom, 7 o'clock p.m., downtown Lawrenceville. Amazing spot.
It's going to be epic.
It's going to be epic. If you want to be a co-host of the event, we are going to have a competition because I want to know who has something to say. So join us. Thank you for tuning into the live exchange where we exchange compelling dialogue around love, politics, and intellect. Join us next Thursday from 11 to 1 right here on the Sensation Station, where I will be joined by an author and minister, Mr. Mark Moore, author of Boaz is Dead. Yes, I'm Dr. Pamela, and remember, love yourself to life, dance confidently in the dark, and dream unrealistically wild dreams. Have an excellent week.